I hear the term is in TV and film, they call it the bottom.
Yeah.
Is that what
bitch? I mean, why are you being apologetic now?
He was like,
he's so
he was
quiet.
like, I've heard on TV terms, not that I look it up.
No, that's what it is.
No, is that what it is?
Thoroughly to prepare him.
Yeah,
That's what it is. It's the bottom bitch. It's the main bitch. It's the baby mama. Like sometimes the main one has kids.
Yeah.
So they're with them for the longest. They have the most to lose. They have the most at stake because they got kids with the pimp. They lifted the sheet and it was her. And I'll never forget the face. Her face was twice the size from swelling and bruising. Yeah, they beat her to death. So I ID'd her. And then the very next day, I was standing in the same day. I said, please don't make me go there. They didn't find her murderer at this point. Please don't make me go there. Please don't make me go there. You're going there. Nobody's going to come back. But I had to go stand in the very spot the same day. Same day. And in that moment, I said, I'm going to be dead. I will be dead if I don't get out. I'll be dead.
To everyone, give me all the music, even if you're tired. I'll make you dance, I'll make you make sense. Now you're feeling brave, you stupid cunt. Thank you for the service, my greatest decline.
Welcome to this episode of Welcome to Politically Challenged.
What happened there?
What are
buddy?
you doing, bro?
I was trying to rap.
You sound like you're pleasuring yourself.
Oh my God. You guys are, you know what? One of the real pain in my life.
In the tuchus.
Is Divya?
What's the pain in your tuchus?
Listen,
All right.
let's get to the guest. How about that? Divya,
Let me introduce our guest.
thank you.
Our guest today, she has unfortunately had a very difficult journey, but she has alchemized her pain into finding a way to help others. At a very young age, she survived sex trafficking and went on to pursue her dream of becoming a lawyer. Today, Vanessa Tynes helps families across Canada get justice. She is also the owner of the newly launched tech company myselfrep.com that helps people in need of lawyers gain access without it costing thousands of dollars. Vanessa was also part of Ezra Cholet's documentary series Outlaw Land, where she shared some of her experiences with sex trafficking and how she got herself out of that world. Please join me in welcoming Vanessa Tynes.
Thank you.
We do have a sound clap thingy too, right? Can we use that?
This is way too
I
loud.
don't need that.
Ah, you see how they treat me here?
That's okay.
Vanessa, thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you so
Get
much.
right in. Thank you.
I want to go to your story and start from the very beginning. How many brothers, sisters did you have? What kind of family did you grow up in? And yeah.
So I have to be cognizant of my family.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah, for sure.
because when I
sure.
first came out with my
Yeah.
story, I wasn't cognizant and I hurt feelings and I don't want to do that. But I mean, I had a troubled childhood. I came from a divorced home. My dad divorced from my biological mother when I was an infant, so I never really grew up with my biological mother. I grew up in a Black community because I am Black, I'm biracial. So I grew up in a predominantly Black family and neighborhood and community. And in Nova Scotia, your Black community is your extended family. Like we're not technically related to everybody, but you know, if I'm messing up down the street, they're going to get on the phone and call my mother. And say,
We're in Nova Scotia.
I grew up in Toronto, Nova Scotia.
Toronto, Nova Scotia. So it's a
very
smaller community.
tight-knit religious community. I was brought up in the church. And, you know, I had a tough go in my teens where I was battling a lot of internal emotions about, you know, why did my mother leave me and my brother? Why did she just not take us? Why why did I have to grow up here? Every teen has those problems, and I'm very light skinned, so I didn't fit in with the rich white kids that we went to school with, and I didn't fit in with the black kids completely that I grew up with because they're brown skins, and I was also an honors student, so I was shifted off to the honors classes, so I didn't fit in anywhere, right? I was brought up in the church, so I was in a strict household, very strict household. And so when I started having the issues in my teens, I was hanging around with the wrong people. I started drinking when I was like 17. And
is it fair to say that there was a lot of disciplines, rules, and regulations,
lots.
do's and don'ts, and zero love?
Well, I was brought up by a step parent, so maybe I didn't get as much love as I probably would need.
In terms of a
Nurturing.
ratio
Yes.
of, because here's the thing, like when you were talking about all the elements that you were going through, there's got to be a little ratio. Maybe if those elements were lower, maybe there's
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic teen story. Every person in this room has gone through issues with their parents when they're a teen. Every person in this room has. Every kid in the world has. I have a almost 13-year-old daughter right now. She's going through the same thing. I don't fit in anywhere. My friends don't like. Grade
outcasts
7.
everywhere.
Oh, they're dealing with so many of their own little issues and stuff like that. And I guess at that point in time, that's when they're backlashing against their parents, and like I was too. You need that parent to fight.
Yeah.
You are looking for that parent to stand up and never give up. So I came home one night, I was out, past curfew, and the door was locked. And in hindsight, now that I'm a mature woman, I look back and I'm like, did I really get kicked out, or, was it just a lesson for that night? But in that moment, it's 12:30, I'm trying to get into my house and it's locked. And I'm like, oh, shit, now where do I go? So I go back to my friends. I call my grandfather the next day and I'm like, hey, Granddad, the door was locked. I think I'm kicked out. He said, okay, well, come here. And, he got me into a rooming house. And I thought I was kicked out. I had a part-time job. I was going to high school. I was a straight A student. I'm just trying to get up and go to school on Monday.
you every now and again you go out, obviously, and stay up late or whatever. You come home, the door is open. And then, there's fights. You're like, don't go out. If next time you're out, we lock the door, find some place else, that kind of a thing. No, none of that.
It wasn't like that. It was just more like, I think I just started rebelling. I was a Sunday school teacher, and then I started just hanging out with other kids and my cousins, and we're all pushing the rules. We're all pushing the rules,
Of course.
and so I think I got caught with a little half a pint of vodka or something I left out on my bed that 5 of us girls shared. So, we had such a good time.
It's the donut.
We were all drunk.
Light mates.
We were. But I made a mistake and left it out. And I got grounded for the summer. This is my parents. You're going to go to AA and you're going to get grounded for the summer.
Of course, because Christian religious strict upbringing.
You went to AA for...
No, I didn't. My mother said she was going to send me to AA because they found the liquor.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they've been trying to get me to go to AA for for a long time now. That's the police has been.
Oh, God.
But
Court order.
Yeah.
That's a different story. We'll get to that later.
And to be honest, my older brother was asked to leave the house too, when he was 17. So
I was going to say, you said you had a brother, older or younger?
Older. I have a bunch of brothers.
But this particular
brother was having problems when he was 17. He's 2 years older than me, and then he was asked to leave the house. So when the door was locked on me, I automatically jumped to the conclusion, okay, they don't want me to live here, so where do I go now? And so then after I went to the rooming house, I got assaulted when I was 17. So I was like, okay, I can't stay here. That happened about 3 times.
by someone who was working at the rooming?
Living.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't stay here. Where am I going to go now? So I had to leave that place. And so I went and I just couch surfed for a while. And then I ended up in the city near my brother. And he was not hanging around with very good people. But I had enrolled myself into high school. I transferred my high school. And then I started going to high school in the city and working at McDonald's.
Halifax?
In Halifax.
Is
yeah.
Halifax? No.
Started working at McDonald's locally. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I got to get money to eat. And I knew if I worked at McDonald's, I'd get a meal if I worked more than 4 hours. I mean, I was trying to be resourceful,
yeah.
right? But at the same time, my brother wasn't eating.
How old were you at that point?
17.
And you were doing all that math,
Yeah.
figuring it out. I need to work this
I
much.
was like hardcore nerd.
This is my rent. So you're in the city. You're working at McDonald's. You're making a little bit of money. Now you're in a rooming house again, like somewhere.
So my brother lived in a rooming house, and I was allowed to sleep on the floor. So I just slept on the floor, like on a box.
And how long were you there for?
That lasted probably about 4 months. And him and his friend and we were all from the same town. And so they weren't really eating. We weren't really eating. I got meals when I worked. And so sometimes they would come into McDonald's and I could sneak them some food and, we would eat that way. And then they were part of this. It's really hard to explain for me because, I just was losing momentum.
Yeah,
I guess.
an interest in
Yeah.
continue because
And
there's
then-
no reward. You don't.
No, and I was
see
still
anything. You're
sleeping
like,
on a box.
Yeah.
Like on
all
the
that
floor.
hard work. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Can I ask something?
Mhm.
It was when you went to the first rooming house before you went to your brother, and you had the terrible experience. Did you tell anybody about the assault?
No.
And do you know why?
Well, I mean, now I can say probably now why, but back then it was just like shame, just embarrassment. Like, how could this happen? This man was way older. Like, who would I tell? I just didn't have anybody to tell.
And climate was very different. You didn't see that kind of conversation.
I
in
just
the
didn't
news.
know-
You didn't see anybody ever. Any man would be like shown as the predator, as an assailant necessarily. It was always, especially at the back up until a few years ago. It was like, what were you wearing? Where was she? It was really the Me Too movement that.
Actually, I still think it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
The men who do assault women,
Yes.
I think, I don't know, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think they should be killed.
I don't think it's unpopular.
At least in this room, it's a very
To
popular.
answer your question, like back then, I don't even know. Like I was a Sunday school teacher. When I say I was a Sunday school teacher, I was in the church and my parents were very strict. And in that strictness, we were protected in a community, where sexual assaults happen against children. So I don't share the stories where I was hurt when I was a child. My parents were very we said, why can't I stay over at this person's house? Because you're just not. Shut up. That's why we didn't get to stay over at people's houses, right? Like, that's it. They were very strict, but it was protective when you look back at it now. So I was not exposed to that kind of thing.
And I
at
think
17.
conversation, like it goes back to what I was trying to say earlier, where we were having this conversation. Now you would have this conversation with your son, with your daughter, whereas back then, why am I not going there? That's it, because shut up. There is stuff that you don't need to know.
Exactly.
Why don't you teach me? Educate me.
Now
right?
it's a different story.
Yes.
Now people are talking about that stuff. Now my daughter knows why she doesn't ever get to go on a sleepover.
You have a strict rule on that.
Never. Only if they're my loved ones. Like
Yes.
my brother, and I know who's in that house.
That's very
24/7.
interesting.
I know everybody that's going to be going in and out of that house. So that's it.
Because I know a lot of people that have teenagers, younger children, and they have some of them are very cavalier about sleepover rules with the kids. If you were to really give honest recommendations right into the camera to parents, what would for sleepovers? Honestly,
Don't allow sleepovers.
don't.
Nobody's sleeping over at my house. And my kid is not sleeping over anymore.
Are they gonna lose anything?
There was
like,
just
miss
the
out on
story.
anything
There was just
if
the
they do?
story of the father that drugged the kids that were over there on the sleepover at a birthday party, and he got charged, and the little person got raped. Sorry, am I allowed to say that? I don't even.
Yes,
know if
you
I'm
are allowed to say.
The little
we want
child-
to say it so that
The little
you'll be
child got assaulted by the father, and then I was conversating with my daughter about it. Like, wow, that is messed up. That's why you're not allowed to go on sleepovers. Oh my God, Mom, you're right. Yes, And think about the little girl that invited them over for the sleepovers. She's got to go to the same school, like on Monday morning. Like, what's that going to be like for her? Like, it's just too dangerous. You just don't know who is around your children.
Why are men so disgusting?
It's not just men.
Why are men?
Majority men. But
Actually, we're gonna get into that because the grooming part. Correct me if I'm wrong. The grooming, which is the process of essentially preparing a young adolescent into what they call the game or the sex trafficking and taking advantage of young women, is usually done by other girls.
Yeah.
And on that note, actually, because we were talking about supervision, not leaving your children alone. We're talking about, let's go back to your story, where we're talking about a period in your time, in your lifetime, where you're alone. You have to think for yourself. At this point, you're like, not only I got to take care of, I have a dependent too, 1.5 almost, like your brother and his friend. And who are the people around you? What is that feeling like, and what happened after?
So I'll tell you, like, I was getting up and going to school every day and then doing my part-time job at McDonald's. And I'm in a rooming house where my brother and his friend were in one section of the house, and then there was a door, and then there was a bunch of girls living in the other section. But I was always with my brother and his friend, you know, in that section, doing my homework, doing whatever. And I noticed that, you know, the girls would be getting dressed up and going someplace, but I was so fucking naive. I had no idea. I thought they were going to parties or just, I didn't know what they were, just get all dolled up, their makeup, their hair, and I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like in my pajamas, you know, reading a math book or something and trying to read a book for school. And I could imagine what they were doing. And then there was this guy that would come around and he would talk to my brother and stuff, and then he would go in the room, and then I would go to bed. That's all I knew. I'll get up and go to school the next day. But then there was a point when...
And he would introduce himself as your brother's friend, or
my brother introduced him, hey, this is so-and-so. I do work for him sometimes.
An older guy?
Oh, yeah. Older. And I was like, yeah, okay, so. But he owned the house. So it was like, oh, this is our landlord. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Gotcha.
And so the person would start conversations with me, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, well, you know, I got to go do this and I got to do that. And then the girls would start more conversations with me, and they would say, hey, we're going to the mall, we're doing this, we're doing that. Do you want to come? Oh, I have no money. It's okay. And then there became a point where my brother said, yeah, you're going to have to leave. You can't stay here. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not paying rent. Well, I don't have enough money to pay rent. We're not eating. And so I had to leave. And I literally slept in the park behind the house. And it was around October-ish, end of October. So in Nova Scotia, it's getting really rainy. It's really cold. It's starting to misty a lot. End of October, early November. Or I would try to stay at my friend's house. Like there was one friend who had another friend in that town. So I stayed there a couple times, but I couldn't sustain that. And just outside. And then my brother came to me at the bench once and said, hey, you know, they want to talk to you. And, you know, I mean, not having clean clothes, clean undergarments, deodorant and stuff like that. I had a bag, right? And they said, hey, do you want to go to Shoppers? We're going to go to Shoppers. Do you want to come? Why? What do I have to do? Oh, no, come on. We're just going to help you out. We're going to help you out. You can come and hang out with us, blah, blah, blah. So they take me to Shoppers. And, you know, I'm sitting here. Not to be gross, but it's like no clean clothes or deodorant or toothbrushes and stuff for like a week, 2 weeks. Somebody's offering you toiletries.
So for 2 weeks you slept outside?
I just slept everywhere.
Everywhere, but literally like
homeless. Yeah. Literally. And I didn't know that there was shelters for teens. In Halifax, it's called Phoenix. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know I could go find a welfare office and probably get a room somewhere. I didn't know any of that. I was like so young. And then a conversation, I'm trying to think who started the conversation. Was the girls or him?
Oh, he was there too? He would come and hang out, right?
Yeah, so he was always lingering around, right?
Yeah.
He was always, I'm sorry, it's the look on my face, you're filming this, so I'm like literally going back there.
Of course.
The sight of his face in my mind just makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah. But it was mentioned. You want to stay here? You can have whatever you want. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about rent. You don't got to worry about anything. But you got to do what we do. And it's like, what do you do? And they're just looking at me like, oh, we just go downtown. We hang out with people. You know, you do it for free. So you just do it for money. And I'm like, oh, do what? I did not know. And so then, you know, it got explained to me. And the next thing I knew, they're doing my hair, they're doing my makeup, and I'm in the back of his car.
How many girls?
Going down 6 girls, I think at the time.
Girls.
5 or 6.
Wow.
It was 5 at that point.
Oh.
It might have been the 6th. And
when you say girls, these are all like teenagers.
oh, teenagers.
It's 17, 18. How many your age?
16. One was 14. It was young. Yeah. And the next thing I knew, I was on the way downtown. I was in the back of his car. I'll never forget. We're
What
going
kind of
over
car
the
did
bridge.
they have? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a red. Oh God, I can't say.
Ezra, what's wrong with you?
I can't say.
I was just curious.
What?
But it was a pony,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Fucking
a hatchback.
sorry.
Anyway, so I'm on the back, and I wrote a chapter in a book about the first night and how I thought, like, what am I doing? What is going on here? How do I get out of this car? And we're just put out on the street. This is what you do. This is where you put your money.
So
This is
what
you
did they say? What was the instruction?
This is how much you charge. I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
First, I just stood there. Like,
So they didn't even like go to a club or
you
like.
don't talk to anybody. You don't talk to police. You don't look at another black guy. If you look at another black guy, you're his. If you look at a black guy in the face, you're his. Yeah. It was called choosing. So if I looked at another black guy,
Uh-huh.
I was choosing that black guy to be my pimp.
So the girl so girls can change pimps, like if because he's considered a pimp, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was so many rules, but I mean, on that first night, there's no like, it was just,
Don't look at another black guy.
don't talk to police. Don't ever say who brought you here. Don't, there was just so many rules.
Yeah.
I literally was just frozen. I was frozen in a spot.
And were you left alone or with another girl?
No, with all the girls. I was not
Yeah,
left
yeah.
alone.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
for
I was
sure.
left alone for a year and a half.
Wow.
Maybe a couple of times I was left alone. A few times. Yeah. I mean, the 18 months was the longest 18 months of my life. But on that first night, you know, my soul left my body that night. Yeah.
Wow. That was a punchline right there.
Next question.
For sure. The next question I want to know is that
Can we ask her about being a lawyer? Can we make it?
no, actually,
Not
what I
yet,
want to know, is that well, that night did you meet anybody?
The person was met for me.
What was meant for you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's done. Whatever. You came home. Obviously, you came back to the rooming house, right?
Yes, it wasn't at my home.
Yeah, it was not your home, obviously.
But I mean,
it was
where I had to stay.
yeah, where you had to stay, you had to stay. I want to know is that the next day your life was different for a short period of time, at least.
I didn't have a life.
Yeah.
It was not my life. It was not my body. It was not my life. My existence does not belong to me. No, it's taken. It's taken, and that's part of the grooming. Like you would think that the first night is like the end, but it's not. That's just part of the grooming. The conversation started. Oh, you can't go back home now. Nobody's gonna want you home now. Your parents aren't gonna want you. You did this, and then that's playing around in your head. Like, holy shit, what did I do? Who saw me? Like, who knows? You know, who's gonna tell my parents? You know, I could get charged. That's illegal, right? Like, tried to pretend that nothing bad was happening to me, and literally, like, your emotions and your soul leave your body, so you're not even in your emotions. You're not even in your conscious. You're in flight, like you're in fight or flight. You're in survival mode. But again, at that time, I didn't realize that I was just surviving.
That's right.
I was not thinking about, you know, trauma or anything like that. I was just surviving. And I'd say we tried to make the best of it. I mean, I was so happy when I graduated Oh, I got $5 a day for food. I was so happy that my budget was $5 a day. I was able to go to the meat shop and get a pork chop and some potatoes and make a meal. I was able to get any of the toiletries I wanted.
You said something earlier. You were like, you don't know what it feels like unless you've been there.
Yeah, you don't.
So you move on. You probably start making a little bit of money, right? No.
We never made any money. We made money, but we didn't make any money. We were the commodity,
Yeah.
right? We were the same as a dog being.
What percentage?
Think
would
about
you
it.
take?
We were the same as a dog that gets bred for puppies for money.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't get any money. We got $5 a day. When I'm telling you that, that's what we got. We got $5 a day for our food budget.
And how much was
To
he
keep us
making?
skinny,
Oh.
we weren't allowed to do drugs. We weren't allowed to drink. We weren't allowed to do, his crew with that guy. We weren't allowed to do drugs. We weren't allowed to handle any money. We never got any money.
Wow.
There was one girl that would be the number one bitch, the main bitch.
Yeah.
Right? She got the whole of the money. She was the most trustworthy. So if we wanted something, hey, I need to go to the shoppers and get tampons, she would give us money for tampons. Or she would have a tampon stash that she would give it to us.
I hear the term is in TV and film, they call it the bottom.
Is that
Oh,
what it is?
bitch. I mean, why are you being apologetic now? That's
He
what it-
was
I
like,
know, he's so
he was
quiet.
like, I've heard on TV terms, not that I look it up.
No, that's what it is.
No, is that what it is?
Thoroughly to prepare him.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's like-
That's what it is. It's the bottom bitch. It's the main bitch. It's the baby mama. Like sometimes the main one has kids.
Yes.
So they're with them for the longest. They have the most to lose. They have the most at stake because they got kids with the pimp. Like, I wasn't anybody. I was just new. I was the new turnout. That's what I was called.
And you were saying there's another term for a lifer. Is that what they say?
Yeah, lifers.
Those are the ones that basically they can never get out, and they're like mentally they become into because
You
it's
can't leave. There's chains on you. Like, you don't even really. You can't go to the police because you're warned. Plus, you see other girls getting beaten. You see other girls disappear. You never see them again. I know back in the day, we knew that girls were put in the harbor if they thought that they were
like actually,
Yeah.
literally.
literally in the dead of winter. Like, yeah, just to make them suffer because it would be up to the waist.
Also,
Also the threat of being trafficked across Canada. That guy didn't go outside of Halifax, so I guess he was kind of safe, but he was also very dangerous. Like he had a gang. I witnessed horrible things going on in that house, not just girls. To anybody that did him dirty, he had a gang of young men work for him.
they would do bad things.
Torture people, and we would be in the same house. So you, as a young girl, how am I getting away? What power do I have? We're on the street, and he would be parked across the street the whole time, watching you. If you went down the street, follow you. You had no freedom.
And this goes on for days on and
Every day.
on and on.
Every day. Yeah. Every single day it went on for me until my roommate got murdered. So I call her my roommate just because she has family, she has that are alive, that when they need to cherish her memory. But I was always trying to think of a way to get away.
Yeah.
Always trying to find a way to escape. And I think I got turned out in November, and I think February. So she was in a group home, because that's where they find the victims in group homes. Kids that are aging out of the system. They hang around the group homes like to get them at the mall or whatever like that. That's how they find their victims, the vulnerable teens or at-risk youth. And she was at a group home in Halifax, one of the ones that I mentioned earlier. And there's rules there, or they don't get along with other people. And so she came from a group home. Her name was Kelly. And I'm very public about her name. Her sister has given me permission to talk about her. And she was simple. Like, she wasn't that, I don't want to say she wasn't that intelligent, but she wasn't a straight A student, okay, in comparison with me. And I won't say she was naive. She just
Had a naivete.
innocence. It's innocence about her.
How old was she?
She was 17. At this point, I think I was 18 and she was 17. And like, she was the one where it's like, Kelly, you gotta make sure we know where you are. Kelly, you gotta, why are you doing this? Kelly, that's not safe. Kelly, like, she was childlike in her mind. And it was like, I had to watch her. I had to make sure she'd be okay. It was more like babysitting. And I wasn't the bottom bitch anymore. She was. And so I was like,
So I was gonna say, so where you were there, you saw her when she basically was being like, when she came.
Yeah,
going
we saw them
into the game.
We saw
right?
them. We would see ones come from other pimps. We would see, we would see them come from other pimps, and they would go above me because they were out longer, or I'm not sure how much you want me to keep.
No, go ahead. Keep going on. I'd love to hear all of it. Actually, this is getting.
Yeah.
So she was 17. I think it was in February, and I had this plan. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here! Like, fuck this! I don't belong here." I was like ready. I was just like, "Fuck this! I don't belong here. I gotta go back home. I gotta get back in school. I need to graduate. Because I'm still thinking like I've got a future, and I just don't. This is not for me. This is.
What was your
not
plan
me.
for getting?
So my plan that night was, I knew that he was not going to be watching us every night that night, like all night, because the main girl had to do something, and he was going with her.
The main bitch.
The main bitch had to go. The one that he loved, he had to go someplace with her. So he was not going to be sitting across the street. So I was like, fuck, this is my chance. So I didn't wear a skirt. We had a uniform that we had to wear, skirt, high heels, like 6-inch heels and shit like that. And it was winter in Halifax. And if you've ever been in Halifax, like, it's all hills.
Yeah.
And it's really, really icy around February. So because it snows and then it rains and then there's a sheet of ice on the sidewalks. So that night I had wore jeans and a jacket and sneakers. And Kelly wore the regular shoes. So she had high heels, a skirt. Sorry. I just flashed back to her outfit. I'll explain more later. But she had on a black skirt, purple shirt, a gray jacket, and her black shoes. And the way Halifax, the stroll is, Hollis Street was on one level, and then Granville Street is behind Province House, like provincial government house. And we were always, we had the corner on Hollis and Prince, and we were told to stand there. So a car came around, and they eyeballed Kelly, and they turned up the hill and parked on Granville. So physically, I had my sneakers on, so I knew the guy was looking at Kelly, but I was like, this is my chance. I got to get $20 to take the bus home. That's all they needed. I said, once I get home, I'll be able to deal with my parents somehow. I don't know how. I'll just be able to get home and just get home, just leave. So I said, I got to get $20 because the last bus leaves at 11 o'clock. So I really wasn't caring about Kelly in that moment. I was caring about me.
You didn't think there was anything wrong with what you were doing. You're like, well, Kelly is living there, right? She's choosing to live here, and she's gonna do another business. I'm gonna go. I
gotta get home. I gotta go home, and that was my like literally, because he was always there. So this was the only night that he wasn't there. So I was like, I got to get $20. I got to go to whatever. I'll hide $20. I hid $20 in my lining of my jacket. I lied and said I only made this so much, blah blah blah, and I had the plan. I even ripped the lining of my jacket so I could hide that $20, right? And I left, and I turned around. I didn't leave yet. I was running up the hill, and she was trying to go up the hill with her high heels on the ice. And I looked back, and I was like, hey, Kelly, I got here first. See you later. Like jokingly, like, I got here first. Bye. And that was the last time I saw her alive, because the next car that came was a taxi, and it was a random murder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but I didn't know that at the moment. In the moment, I was gone. I was happy. I was like, look, I got some money. I came back. Hey, where's Kelly? Oh, we don't know. Okay, an hour went by. Bus is going to leave soon. I'm like, but I know Kelly. I'm like, I got to stay here because I don't think she's okay. I said, okay, I'll take tomorrow's bus somehow. I don't know how I'll get on the bus, but I'll take the first bus in the morning. And I just waited. She didn't come. You know, we had friends that were taxi drivers. So they would just, you know, you see Kelly, you see Kelly. Driving around. Couldn't find her. Asking everybody. Can't find Kelly. We took a taxi. I took a taxi over because I did track down the taxi that there was a taxi. There's only 2 taxi companies in Halifax at that point. And I tracked down the taxi and I said, you know, I'm looking for Kelly. Do you remember picking her up? Oh, yeah. She went over to Dartmouth. She went on Rose Street. Oh, okay. Can you take me over there? Because she's not back yet. Can you take me over there? Yeah, they took us over and we were going up and down this. It's like a little residential street in Dartmouth. It's really dark. You can't see much. And they're like, okay, that was the address. We back up into this driveway. I'm looking. Everything's in darkness. Can't find her. And this was, I think, around 4 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, we live pretty close. So I'm like, okay, take me back to the house and I'll wait to see if she come home. And I said, maybe she went out drinking. Maybe she met up with some of her teen friends from the group home. Maybe she just broke the rules because, you know, when we break the rules, we would disappear. Not because somebody would do something, because you were scared to come back, right? You were scared you were going to get a beat.
Yeah.
And went back to the house. I check her room. It's all the way we left it. Lights were still on. She wasn't there. I waited and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. So I went to sleep. It was about 4:30. And then I woke up at like 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30, to the news on my radio. And they're just like, hey, this is live news. A body of a girl was found on Rose Street in Dartmouth.
Oh.
Nova Scotia
And I was
RCMP
like,
believe they
I
have
just
recovered the body of a
bolted
teenage
from
girl.
my bed to my door of my bedroom, ran down the hall. Kelly wasn't there. And I was like, holy fuck. And my first instinct, I have to call the pimp. And I'm like, I just heard on the radio that they found a girl on Rose Street. Kelly's not here. What do I do? Don't you fucking say nothing. Call the police, but don't you say nothing. Don't you mention anything. Don't you mention what you were doing. Don't you say anything, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I call the police and I say, I just heard on the radio, somebody was found on Rose Street. My roommate's not home. And she went missing last night. And sorry.
No problem.
And then they took me down to the station. I got my warnings. Don't you fucking say my name. Okay. Don't worry about it. I won't say nothing. But I'm terrified. I'm going into the police station. I'm going into the basement of the police station. I'm in the morgue of the police station. And they pull out, you know, the drawer. They lifted the sheet. And it was her. And I'll never forget the face. Her face was twice the size from swelling and bruising. Yeah, they beat her to death. So I ID'd her. And then the very next day, I was standing in the same day. I said, please don't make me go there. They didn't find her murderer at this point. Please don't make me go there. Please don't make me go there. You're going there. Nobody's going to come back. But I had to go stand in the very spot the same day. Same day. And in that moment, I said, I'm going to be dead. I will be dead if I don't get out. I'll be dead. And I knew I had to get out. I didn't know how I was going to get out. That story is crazy. But I knew at that moment, I was like, fuck, I'm going to be laying on that slab. I'm going to be laying and somebody's going to be looking at my body the way I had to look at Kelly today.
Wow.
Did they ever find out who?
Yes, a husband and wife did it. They got charged. Yep. They got charged.
Husband and wife.
Husband and wife
Couple.
did it, yeah. A husband came and got her. The wife hid in the closet and then they beat her to death. God.
There are several elements and events that led to you basically being able to get rid of this pimp and move on, go back home. Why don't you, in however much you're comfortable with? We have all the time in the world. Don't worry about
so
us.
Stupid. Now when I
But
look back at it, it is the dumbest thing. I mean, but I guess it worked. looking back, I was just so dumb, but smart and brilliant all at the same time, because my plan was I'll never get away from this crazy guy. I'll never get away from this crazy motherfucker, right? I did escape. I went with another pimp, and then he promised me, I won't traffic you. I won't take you anywhere. I won't take you anywhere.
And the reason was because you realized, well, this guy is not going to let me go, but I have a loophole here. They told me if you look at another guy, don't look, because then you're choosing. You told me that I can choose.
Yep. So I chose another pimp, and I thought that this guy was going to not traffic me, but I was in his presence for 24 hours, and I was put in the backseat of a car, and I was on my way to Montreal.
Gee.
So me and two other girls.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then there is a big fear of being trafficked to the U.S.
Yes. Well, there's a big fear of being trafficked at all, because the girls that left Halifax would never come back. Very rarely would come back. You would never hear tell of them again. And the stories that we would be told by other girls is like this, and the ones that did come back is like, yeah, this one got murdered, that one got murdered, that one had a bad date, this one got a bad date. It happened in Montreal, it happened in Toronto, it happened in Winnipeg, it happened in Niagara Falls. Oh shit, you don't go to Niagara Falls. We all knew that if you went to Toronto or Niagara Falls to New York, you never came home. So in my mind, I was thinking, oh, geez, I can't go to Montreal. I can't go to Toronto. Like, I'm telling you, I was the worst. Because I never made any money. I never made any money in the big cities, because when they would come around the block to check you, I would stand out there. And this is so stupid, but I don't tell people this. This is hilarious. I don't know why I'm feeling comfortable, but
that's good.
I would literally stand out there when they would drive by, and then I would back up and go to hell, so nobody would even see me.
It's good.
Well, you know what's interesting?
I mean, it's just basic
and
survival.
you were arguing with the pimp too, so it's like they can't. You're fighting with them. You're not making any money.
Be difficult.
Well, the one that took me to Montreal, in all rights, I never went. We're in Montreal. I'm from Montreal originally. My family's from Montreal. So I knew Montreal. And plus I was smart. I was French. I was bilingual almost, because I was in French immersion my whole life. I was very, very rare for a Nova Scotia student in my years to be in French class from primary all the way. So I understood French. I knew where I was at Montreal. So we're on a highway. And I know where Mirabel Airport is, so we were there. I knew where Côte de Neige was. I recognized the signs, so I jumped out of the car at the highway. They stopped it. It was a city highway. So they jumped out. I jumped the hell out and started running. I was like, I know where I'm at. I know where my grandmother lives.
Wow.
So I run out, and I get to a phone booth, and they're trying to drag me back in the car, and I'm beating this pimp with the phone.
It's like an action movie.
Crazy. And, I was dialing 911 and hitting him with the phone, with the phone booths, right? And, I caused enough attention that they drove off. And then I got to the police, and the police came and picked me up. And I said, hey, can I call my nanny? And my nanny came down and picked me up. I'll never forget. And they were like, what are you doing? But I knew that since I wanted to go back to Nova Scotia, I couldn't. Because it was North Preston's finest. This guy was in North Preston's finest. So
for people who don't know, who are the North
Preston's finest is.
This is 33-year-old Jamal Richardson, an alleged gang leader and accused murderer. And this is him behind bars, enjoying surf and turf and hamming it up for the camera, iPhone in hand.
HOK criminal organization evolved from a well-known street gang in Nova Scotia, known as North Preston's finest.
Very organized in sex trafficking. It goes back decades, and they're just the family. So it's organized crime.
And they would, and they would find you.
They would find me in Nova Scotia, and so I just couldn't say. They were like, "What were you doing up here?" I said, "I was just brought up here. I didn't answer any questions. They just let me go to my nan's, and then I got a train home, and then I went back to my parents, and my parents just not knowing how to deal with this person that showed up at their door.
That's the thing, right?
That's the sad thing. They don't know what it feels like to be coerced. They just didn't know. And so at that point, I made a phone call. I was at my parents' house and I made a phone call, and my dad overheard the call and he thought I was trying to go back. And I was like, no, I was just calling the girls. I was just calling the girls to tell them I was okay, but he wasn't listening. And so he threw me out.
Because he didn't know anything.
He didn't know.
He didn't talk to you to find out who else was in that rooming house. Were there other girls that felt the same
What
way
happened?
like you did? What happened? Maybe you were worried about another Kelly. That might have happened. Maybe all those things that were inside
A
of.
lot of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, we try to.
Yes, of
We're
course.
not perfect
of course.
parents, and at that.
No, but just
Who
generally.
knows how to deal with the issues that are coming from a person that witnessed what I witnessed? And up to that point, I witnessed we're in this backseat of the car going to Montreal, and this pimp is pummeling this pregnant friend of mine, quote unquote, because she wanted poutine. And she got mad that he wouldn't stop and give her some poutine and feed her. And then he beat her. And I'm in the car sharing the back seat as he's beating the crap out of the pregnant girl. So I go back and I take a beating.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah. That's the punishment. How dare you? I took a beating that day.
And then how long after that did you stay?
So then after that beating, I behaved for a couple more months, and I played the role for a couple of more months. And I escaped again. But I went with the craziest motherfucking pimp that I could find.
Wow.
Because I said I have to find somebody who's going to...
Who's crazier than him?
Yeah, and I had to find... I remember when I got back, so I took a beating from him, and then the same night I had to go out, and they came back from Montreal because they ran from Montreal because I had ran to the police. So they ran back to Nova Scotia. And he sent the pregnant girl down to get me. And I had to fight a pregnant woman in the streets.
This is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. I had
He
to,
sent a pregnant
the
woman.
pregnant woman that he beat in the car, he sent her down to fight me.
And she was fighting you. Like trying to actually.
It's not one of my finest.
She was the
course.
she was the top lady, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So she had to come and beat me to
Yeah, it's-
teach me a lesson.
and then.
She didn't beat me.
No, of course not.
Did you beat her?
Yes, I had to beat her.
Carl.
Of course.
I had to. It was me or her.
Yeah, that's true.
It's horrible.
It is crazy.
We're
but
we're kids. We are like 18.
That's what
And it was in the street. Like when I say in the street, regular people were driving by, and I'm in the street by the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia in Province House.
Oh my God.
It's survival basically.
It is survival. Literally survival of the fittest.
Adaptation, yeah.
But
And all of this is to control another human being.
Yep.
They couldn't control me. The first one had to control me. The third one was one of the craziest, but was known for beating his women, was known for, just
very violent.
being violent, just violent. But I had to go with that person to
And what was the
get
grand
away
plan?
from the...
Yeah.
At that point, I was just trying to get away from the first guy. Like, I know that's
Yeah.
what's so, it's hilarious now, but at the time it was just like I was just trying to get away from the first one.
When did you break that cycle?
So the third one, because he was in North Press's Finest, like I just knew he was a traveler,
Mm-hmm.
so I just got trafficked around Canada with him. Here, you're going here, you're going here. You're going to stay here. You're going to stay with this person.
And he would come with you.
Yep. Yep. Or had family members. Like it was North Preston's family, so it was a network.
Yeah.
I was never alone. He might have been off in other cities, but I was never alone because he had other pimps,
Yeah.
other family members. So I wasn't watched as close as I was with the other person. But then at that point, I was just losing hope. I started to lose hope that I would get away. I started to feel, I just started to do drugs. I just started drinking a lot and doing drugs and just needed to escape. I was started down the road that many have to start to escape my mind, to escape my body, to escape my situation. I couldn't get away. That's why I always say I'm not like any other lawyer.
You're a lawyer who's literally seen
Everything.
Everything.
And and so I had, like I said, when I was away, my method was making nothing. Because if I don't make nothing, I ain't gonna get hurt. But I was always disappearing, and I was very difficult. And when he would try to beat me, because he was a little shorter than me, I would duck, and he couldn't reach me.
It's incredible.
Or I would just disappear. He would find me at the end of the night. I'd be drunk. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't get it. Just beat somebody who's just laying here drunk or high or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I didn't care. And I didn't make any money.
You found the loophole. You're like, I'm not gonna make any money anyways. At least, like,
I'm not
I can cope with, like, try to again survive
like
in this.
I think I was in Ottawa, and it was a terrible weather night, and I was hanging out in the diner, and didn't do anything. And then at one point, I could see him driving around, and I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm gonna get in trouble. Like, and then we were in Ottawa too, so I was very cognizant. And he was like, okay, we're going to Toronto, and then we're going to Niagara Falls. And I was like, fuck, oh my God, I'm gonna get traded, right? Like, it's just like the NBA. Like, I'm gonna get traded.
That's what they call it?
Yeah, traded. Yeah, I would get sold or traded, right? Yes. Like, I'm telling you, once you went up the line, you just never come back. And so when I heard Niagara Falls, I'm like, holy shit, I've got to do something. I've got to save myself. I've got to do something. And my God, like the brains that our God gave me, it was rainy and it was pouring, and all the girls came into the diner in Ottawa. And they were very territorial, so.
The girls.
Yeah. So when they all came in, I just slipped out. And I just was able to get a date that had a lot of money. And I stole a bunch of money, and I hid it.
Wow.
And I gave him half. And I was terrified, but I had just stolen $15,000 of cash. It was a coke date. And I didn't do coke. I did coke, but I... That night, I pretended I did coke. I pretended I did.
Of course, because you wanted to
Instead
be
of
sober.
snorting it up my nose, I was blowing it off the table because I wanted him to get so high that he would fall asleep. And I took the rest, and I had just put it in my dress, and I was in my bare feet in Ottawa. I did not know where I was. And I ran out into the rain and in the streets of Ottawa, just holding my shoes and running, because I said, this is the only way I'm going to get away from this. I got to give him money to send me back home. I got to give him enough money so he won't feel like he needs to take me anywhere else. That was my plan. And I did it. I gave him a lot of money. And I said, okay, you know what? I made enough money. Like, I don't think I need to go to Toronto. You know, I don't make any money. Just send me home. Here's enough money for me, right? And he does. He's like impressed, right? He's like, oh yeah, you did good, Vanessa. You did good.
The short pimp?
Yeah.
There's always shortcomings.
But I laugh now. Obviously,
Yeah, of
I wasn't
course.
laughing then.
Yeah.
This is 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And but I had my money. And he sent me home. And then I said, oh, I can get an apartment. I can hide. He won't find me. I have enough rent for a year. I'll just hide out. But he had found my friends and tortured my friends until they told him where I was.
Oh my God.
And so I, minded my business some night, and they had found me, and they kicked the door open, started beating me, like 6 or 7 pimps, I think it was. And they just carried me up the night just to beat me.
Kidnapped you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Out of your apartment.
That's it. Out of my apartment. I remember he did roundhouse kick me, and my head hit the drywall and put a hole in the drywall. But I started to black out and slink down, and I was like, wait, I can't go to sleep. Wake up. You can't pass out. And they just carried me off in my nightgown. It must have looked hilarious. Like, and then where were the neighbors? Like, I was in an apartment building.
Like, her spirit and her, honest to God, and I'm so proud of you. Now, this conversation, again, I cherish it because, and every time you laugh, for me, I'm like, oh my God, look how healed she is.
What a beautiful light. Yeah.
It's a beautiful moment for me because I'm like, we were talking about it. I'm like, it's going to take a lot for a victim of trafficking to become a survivor. And then from a survivor, you transition to become an advocate, strong enough to talk about it. From an advocate to an agent for change. Literally, that's...
Yeah, I thought I was going to die that night in the back of the van. Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, okay, this is it. I've had a good run.
You accepted it.
I've made it this far. Yeah, I was just like, it's out of my hands. I was only thinking, like, just don't pass out. Like, don't pass out. You have to know where you are. Even in the moment, I'm like so in survival, right? Like, just survival, basic instincts. And they just put me in the basement and more sexual assault, more beating, and wakes up in the morning and it's like, and you're at the pig farm. I'm at the pig farm. So I'm smelling the pig shit, thinking, oh my God, like, what is that?
This is not,
what is going on
They're
here?
not going to have a party here. There is a...
And,
crazy.
but I think about it now, and it's just so crazy. And it's like, why did you run? That was the question.
Is that what he asked?
Yes.
He was like...
And I remember looking at him in disbelief and like, wow, I just was like, okay. Well, I said, you will have to kill me in this moment because I am not going back out there. I am not doing this anymore. So do it or let me go. And he took me back to my apartment.
Holy shit.
You didn't give up.
I ran to my phone and called my dad and said, Dad, I gotta come. I need to come home. Just said, I gotta come home. And he said, get on the next bus. And I got on the next bus. And I got in the parking lot of the bus station on the bus. And the pimp was waiting for me. And I was like, fuck, he didn't let me go. What the fuck now? Now what? And I said to that bus driver, I ain't getting off. I'm not getting off this bus. Bus driver's like, I gotta go to New Glasgow. You gotta get off the bus. And I'm like, I am not getting off this bus. Here's my dad's phone number. Call him. You tell him that I'm here and I can't get off the bus because somebody's in the parking lot waiting for me. So he went in the bus stop, locked the bus. I was locked in the bus. And he called my dad. And the next thing, my dad and my aunt were in the car, and my dad ran out of that car and had this fucking bat with him. And he ran. And when that pimp saw my dad with the bat, oh, he took off. And my dad showed up for me that day. My dad, yeah, he was my hero. Woo. Yeah. And then my dad had me in an office a week later working.
He had you working in an office?
Working for his business.
Oh.
A week later. And no counseling, just working. And he just knew. Maybe he just was like, okay, she's got to be occupied. She's got to be occupied.
He was doing what
he was ready. Yeah. And he just had me working. And so I was working. And then I found out I was pregnant. And so I didn't have any time to... And honest to God, when I look back at how the universe was working for me, I was doing drugs.
Yeah.
But when I got back to Truro and I was working for my dad, the trauma's there. Yes. I didn't know it was trauma, but I didn't feel pregnant. I did not feel any symptoms because your body, my brain was disconnected from my emotions so severely. And from my body, from being in fight or flight for 18 months, I didn't even feel pregnant. I think I was working, and I think it was July. And at that moment from April, that was in April, and July, I couldn't get any drugs. There was a huge drug bust in Nova Scotia that the RCMP did, and there was no drugs. And acid was my drug of choice, cocaine.
Wow.
But I couldn't get any drugs. And I was pregnant and didn't know. But if I had drugs, I would have did them. But I didn't. I was pregnant. So it was just God just looking out for me. Fuck. Again. And I didn't know at the time.
Wow.
Hey, why can't we get high?
Wow.
But I was just
Of course,
going
you want to
through my
cope
job.
with all
I
the
needed
trauma.
to,
You
right?
needed it.
I needed to and couldn't get any drugs. And then I found out I was pregnant. I was like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. I thought I had a bladder infection. I
The
was like,
damage
went to
that
the
could have
doctor and
done
I'm like,
to the
yeah,
baby.
I can't sleep at night without using the bathroom. And she's like, yeah, you're about 5 months pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm not. So I go home and tell my parents, yeah, I think it might be a tumor.
That is crazy.
2 weeks later, I'm looking at this ultrasound with my son just like, hi, I'm here.
Your son saved your life.
My son fucking saved my life. Absolutely, 100%. I tell him that every day. Not every day, but he knows. My son saved my life. And then I knew that I had to provide different circumstances for my son. When he was born, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I got to go back to high school. So I went back to my local high school after I experienced all that to change my grades so I could get into university. And I remember the first time I was in high school, they were like, yeah, you're probably not going to go to university, so why don't you take these secretarial courses? But the second time I went back, I was waiting for that speech from the guidance counselor. And they did the same speech. You really going to go, you think you could go to college? You got a kid, like you got a baby. Just put me in the courses. Just put me in the university courses. I'm going to Dalhousie. And they did. Then I got a scholarship and I went to Dalhousie. Yeah, went to college. I went back to Halifax, and when it was time to go to the bars, I was banned from all the bars.
You were banned from all the bars.
Yeah, they banned all the girls from the bars because
That's right.
we were predators. And yeah, and then I had a really special friend in university say, I was trying to be a social worker so I could help people. And he said, what? Why are you going so low? You're so smart. Go to law school. Law school? Are you crazy? I can't get into law school. And they said, well, what are your grades like? And I'm like, I don't know, A- cumulative GPA.
Straight A student kind of thing.
No, I was A- cumulative. And she's like, well, you're not going to go into the IB&M program. That's what it was called back then. She said, you're going to go into the regular category because your grades are so great. And I was like, but I have no money to go to law school. She said, are you studying for that LSAT? I was like, every night, man. I'm going to do great. Stop studying. So her advice was, you stop studying and get a bad grade on the LSAT, and that'll get you an interview. And once you get the interview, you'll get into the IB&M program because they paid for tuition.
Oh, wow.
They paid for books. They gave
Loopholes.
monthly living.
She's always, you see, smart. That's incredible.
No, I'm not smart. I was resourceful.
Yeah.
I had angels around me. I had angels with me the whole time. I want to give my son everything that I didn't have. So I just had to make a life for him.
And then you went to law school.
And I went to law school, and that was a struggle trying to fit in there. Oh my God.
Wow.
Trying to fit in there where, you know what law students are like.
Of course. Pretentious.
Sheltered individuals.
Yes.
They didn't know that I was running for my life like 5 years earlier.
And how has your? I'm sure that your experiences have contributed greatly and affected in your work.
Oh God, yeah. Always the underdog. If there's an underdog, I am fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Some other lawyers used to call me a pit bull that would chew off somebody's leg if my client needed me to.
Oh my God.
But they didn't know where that came from. Like I had a secret. Nobody knew. I remember last year or 2 years ago, I spoke at a conference for judges. I was asked to speak at a conference for Superior Court judges in the Maritimes. So I was so nervous because I appeared before these judges. I mean, I'm looking at, it was Zoom, but I'm looking at the faces on the screen dying because I went to court for 20 years in front of these faces, you know, and the letters and the messages and things that I received. And hey, Vanessa, you appeared for us for 20 years. We knew that attitude came from somewhere.
Wow.
We just didn't know where.
Wow.
And my message to judges is always the same, and I've spoken at several conferences, is you don't know who's standing in front of you. So don't make assumptions. I was standing before you. People don't understand, and that's why you are talking about us talking about it. And I'm so off subject.
No.
But people are talking about, okay, why do we need to have these conversations?
You have an organization right now. Let's talk about that. I want to know the catalyst for you starting that organization, the precipitant of you coming out and telling your story. What changed?
My brain broke around 2014, 15. My brain pretty much broke. I didn't know what complex PTSD was. I didn't realize that all my personal relationships in my life suffered because of my PTSD. I didn't know that I was unable to give love or show love or receive love. I didn't know what love was. I was broken emotionally, mentally, and I had to leave my practice and fight to get back. Oh my God, I had to fight to get back because I said, I'm not going to be one of these. I could have lived off of Manulife till I was 65 and made $72,000 a year nicely, easily. If I just accepted that, I was disabled and couldn't work because of my PTSD. And actually, like I said, I didn't know I had PTSD until that was the first person I told in 20 years, my whole career, that what happened to me before I took the stress on of becoming a lawyer and going to school and being a lawyer, one of the most stressful, a family law lawyer to be, right?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Constant drama.
Yeah, and I didn't know what PTSD was. I didn't know CPTSD existed. And, there was multiple traumas that I suffered after that, after I was in law school, that I could not report. You can read between the lines.
Yeah, of course.
Because of the shame that had I gone to the police, what are they going to do to me as a victim on the stand? Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to believe that I was assaulted. And, I'll be kicked out of law school if I reported anything, right? So, all these multiple traumas, my brain, I just couldn't work. And so in that moment, I started doing the counseling after 2 years and the disability. And it's like, no, this is not, like you said, I had another choice. This is not right. And so my ex-husband suggested, you should go to Tony Robbins to fix yourself. I think those were his words. Okay. So I watched a Tony Robbins thing on Netflix. And I was like, it took me like 3 tries to watch it. I was like, this is boring. But the last time I watched it, it resonated with the girl that was, passed around in the cult. I don't know if you've watched Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I'm not your guru. But the girl that was passed around in the cult.
Children of God.
Yes, her. And how that community loved on her, like purely, like just accepted her and loved on her. And I was like, I just need to go to Tony Robbins and talk to Tony, and he's going to fix me, and it's going to be all this, and it's going to be all that. And so I went. I paid the $6,500 US, and I went down to see Tony Robbins. I didn't know what. I've never been to a Tony Robbins thing I didn't even read a book. I didn't listen to a podcast. I didn't read anything. And everything that was online was like, hey, your life's just going to be changed. But nobody tells you how it's going to be changed. Mm-hmm. So you're like walking down to a Tony Robbins event, like there's 5,000 people there.
Yeah.
They're jumping around and hugging people, and you're like, oh, what the fuck is going on?
That is I've also been to a Tony Robbins event, and it feels like a cult experience. Yeah.
I drank the Kool-Aid.
It worked.
Tony Robbins.
It worked.
I drank it.
That's true.
The thing that Tony does is he just tells you not to live in suffering. That's why he got in trouble with the Me Too, because Me Too is more like, I'm a victim. I need to live in this. I need to talk about my victimhood. I need to, that's my story. And people get so ingrained in the victimhood. And you're sitting in and say, how does she laugh about this? How does she make jokes about this? How does she keep smiling? Because I never lived in my victimhood. I did up until Tony. And when I was there, I was like, no, I don't need to live I'm not living. Like, he just rewrites your story in a way that I went in there thinking, yeah, I'm a victim of sex trafficking. I never talked about it. Oh, I've had troubles.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get out of this. And I come out thinking, I fucking survived that shit.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking champion.
Yeah.
I'm amazing. Like,
your truth is your
yes,
power.
and it's my power.
Superpower.
Yes. And the final goal is helping this young girl not feel embarrassed. And I say girls because that's my experience, okay? Is to not feel the shame. You're going to be okay. You don't have to press charges. You just need to take care of yourself. How can I help you take care of yourself? How can I help you stay home? That's what the kids need. Just stay. Doesn't matter what you do. I'm going to love you and I'm going to support you. It doesn't matter. That's what I would say to my kid.
Question for you. I know you mentioned the Romeo technique or effect. Could you please explain it for people who don't know what it is?
Well, it's just basically romanticizing. It's just you isolate a girl, pretend that you're the boyfriend, and you make them do sex acts for money. That's it. You take the money. So they're basically their pimp, but they just pretend that they're the boyfriend.
So they start off as if it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And for kids who would feel otherwise that...
Yeah.
Nice. Welcome to the food segment, guys. And Divya, what do you got for us today?
Today, I have something for you that you probably have already tried.
Really?
Oh, I hope it's not moi moi or...
No, I don't want to have moi moi.
No one knows.
Nothing with egg.
Well, not on camera.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think...
It's a Persian.
I
It's
don't
Persian
really-
food.
No.
Oh.
I mean,
No.
I didn't mean to be
She was-
so upset about that.
You had like really strong feelings about it. But okay, I get it though. This room is like full of them.
I've never had Persian food. And I was actually talking to our co-producer, Roham, about how I need to have Persian food.
What?
Yeah. His daughter, who's like adorable and like 5 years old, wants me to come over.
She's too...
Yeah.
She's two?
She's two.
She's two?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's even cute.
Little melody.
She was like, why doesn't Divya play with me? And then Roham said, we'll go out and, when it's a little warmer outside, we'll go and we can play. She's like, no, she needs to come to my house. And then we'll play.
And she's pretty demanding.
So that's my plan for trying Persian food for the first time.
All right, so you're gonna try that Roms, right?
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, would you like to reveal the food?
Yes, I do. 3, 2, 1.
What?
Falafel.
No, it's not falafel.
See what I meant by uncultured?
It's not falafel, you uncultured swine.
What is it now?
I know exactly what it is.
What is it?
No, I don't want to give it away because Ezra...
What do you mean? Hold
Well, you
on.
guys have
Hold
to
on.
guess.
I don't know
Well,
what
if
it
I
is.
say, then Ezra would realize.
I got it.
That's
Steve.
why I don't want to say it.
This is a chicken cutlet.
Nope.
Salad.
Nope.
There is salad. This is what we know. Like, it's a lettuce is salad.
That's not
That's
even
just
lettuce. It's arugula.
presentation.
Oh, it's arugula.
I can't believe you don't know this.
Hold on. What do you mean? I can't believe
This
it.
guy, right?
It looks like falafel, but not quite.
Look, does look like falafel.
Like, I know what it is.
It's egg. I swear to my mother. I would kill myself.
Surprise!
Hey, what is it?
What is it?
It's fried egg.
Nav, what is it? What is
It's tuna and it's moi moi.
it? You guys are fucking retarded.
I have no idea what it is. I don't know what it is.
What is it?
It's Scotch egg.
I do it.
What is
She
that?
was it's Scottish food, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would I get it? Just because I was from Nova Scotia?
No, I was just
Racist.
making the presumption that you are
Wow.
more cultured than these two.
Oh, no.
The bar is really low here. But
I don't know.
Listen, it's actually not bad.
it's
Try
very good.
the sauce.
It's very, very good.
Oh, that's mustard.
respect.
It's actually it's cold though, right?
1 out of
Supposed to be hot cold.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Do you like
How is it?
Mm.
How Scottish egg?
Let me describe it. First of all, this mustard is really good.
Right? That's what I said.
Goes perfectly with that. The arugula adds a.
Bro,
Sorry.
no.
I'm
Talk about the egg.
no. Stop. Talk about the egg. I'm not. There's so much meat around it. Deep fried. Excuse my French. My French is not bad either. As fuck.
It's pretty bad.
It's really deep fried. But it's delicious.
So it's not
I love it.
necessarily that.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. The taste is it's not. It's a little chewy, crunchy. You feel the protein.
You feel the protein. What does protein feel like?
What does protein feel like?
Savory.
No, I don't know.
I do recommend it.
Do you guys want to try some?
I don't mind trying.
You just try.
No, we know you don't.
You know you
Again.
just ate some, bro.
Yeah, feel free to. Well, the arugula salad is the arugula salad.
This fucking guy.
I'm not usually one to try.
Yeah,
So this is
I don't know. That would be interesting. Scotch egg? Is that what it's called?
Have we not run out of food with eggs?
I don't think so.
I don't know if you guys noticed. There's a pattern. It's almost as if we search for food that has egg in it.
Yeah.
Almost.
But the good thing is,
Made it a mission.
one time we ate moi moi,
It also
it
had.
never ran. We didn't release that episode.
It was so disgusting.
Oh,
the
really?
food was so bad.
Oh yeah.
We did not put that episode out.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I had never had that food either.
Go for
You
it.
guys found out
Try
later
it.
and you were so upset.
It's not disgusting.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
Would it be my first choice on a menu? No. The mustard is amazing.
Mhm.
What kind of mustard is it?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Fresh,
mustard.
fresh mustard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mustard makes you want to kind of like dig in. I think it's the freshness of the mustard.
That helps. Yep.
But here's the thing. I don't know if you're supposed to have it cold or hot.
Cold.
Well,
Yes.
I know you answered that
Is
already.
this a
white
breakfast
chocolate.
food?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's why it's egg.
It's very hearty.
How do they make it? Walk me through the ingredients.
Oh my God.
Please.
6 large eggs. 1 cup all-purpose flour. 1 cup finely crushed cornflakes. That's if
Cornflakes.
7 ounces, 3 cup fresh breakfast sausage, casings removed if necessary, vegetable oil for frying, kosher salt. We made sure for that for you. Freshly ground pepper and mustard.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
You made
Eating.
these?
No. Oh, I wish.
Did you just put the whole thing in your mouth?
Oh, did we get that on camera?
Can I get it?
Can we zoom in on the fatness?
Oh my god.
Vanessa looks shocked. She's like, is this humanely possible?
No, I don't think so.
That was a
Maybe.
big ball of meat you just put in your mouth. Actually, very impressed.
Not the first time, Vanessa.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Thank you for laughing at my joke.
Bye.
It makes me feel good.
Thank you.
Do we have any more?
Yes, we do.
Nice. Pop 'em like
Actually,
Tic Tacs, homie.
have this one.
No.
There's more. There's more.
That's
I
not
got
big
3
enough.
orders for all 3 of you, depending on how much you liked it.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I want to start rating it because to me, it's a very interesting breakfast. Scotch egg, huh?
It's different.
It's
You know
very
what's
different.
interesting about this? It is too unhealthy and should be considered junk food,
Oh,
which you wouldn't think because it's egg.
I was gonna say it's
Sausage
so
and
deep fried.
and salt.
Mm-mm. So it's the arugula that makes it.
Well, wait a minute. There was sausage around it,
Yeah.
That's what it
Sausage.
is.
so there is sausage around
So
it,
it's like-
but the
It's covered in pork.
gotcha.
I'm not sure if beef is in the mix, but yeah.
So pork is okay,
Wait,
but
is it pork?
yeah, but the
That's haram, bro.
I don't know about
Have
haram.
pretty much
Actually-
all of your life is haram at this point.
But what's
think
funny
this
is
is the
that
line.
for me, the salt is kosher.
That's exactly it.
I'm not pork. You're not allowed to eat pork either.
Yeah,
For
but the salt is kosher. You
Not
know,
that
we
I
had this
care.
exact.
I
Rob
love
and I had this exact conversation, and he said the important part is the salt is kosher.
so idiotic. But I love sausage, and I don't like bacon. generally
Well,
speaking.
bacon doesn't like you either.
Bacon loves me, but
Yeah, we see that.
loves me.
We see that.
Everything, sausage, bacon.
That's very interesting. Is it popular in Scotland?
It is popular, and it's sometimes called bird's nest.
Makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense.
That looks like a bird's
Right?
nest. Yeah.
Can you guess the origin? This time I got the city of it for you because you always ask that fucking
Glasgow.
annoying question.
Because the country is not
Edinburgh.
good enough for me.
Its origin is Whitby, Yorkshire, England, in the 19th century.
What?
Okay.
Whitby, Yorkshire, England. Then
Yeah.
why is it called
19th
Scotland?
century.
But why is it Scottish?
What is Scottish
It's been
then?
suggested that they were originally called scorch eggs, as they were cooked over an open flame. Though, according to surviving recipes, they were deep fried in lard.
Oh.
So the scorch
Ooh.
eventually turned into Scotch.
So it's not Scottish.
Scottish. It's English.
But it's
English.
eaten in Scotland.
Oh, not
primarily.
primarily.
Yeah, it's a staple there.
That's
Wow.
interesting. You see, it's got like the name thing. It's kind of like our show. Like people think we're a political show.
Yeah, people keep asking me that. They're like,
It's
"Oh, so it's
Scotch
a
egg.
political show?" I'm like, "No,
Nope.
we're just."
I thought it was too.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the politics?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Turns out-
challenge it.
We don't know anything about fuck.
How much? No,
It turned
no. As it turns out, we found that after we
That's
started
good.
the show. Yeah,
The politics is in between the lines.
Yeah, we
How
got
we
all these
present.
cameras. You know, I bought a nice lens
Yep.
from an investment and all that stuff. And then we came in, we were filming the first episode, and then I was like, all right, so you talk about politics. He was like, I don't know. I said, you talk about politics. I was like,
I know food.
No, you.
And then he brought,
I like eggs.
and then we started bringing a lot of eggs.
The arugula was
My
too vegetable-y.
The arugula is not. I don't think.
I'll
part
try to
of it.
make it less vegetable
Yeah,
for you next time.
make it less vegetable.
So you want you want vegetable to
You
be
know when I
meat.
say I'm your mom, Nav, it's a joke, right? I'm not actually gonna do something for you.
You're not?
I'm not gonna cook for you now.
I'm gonna rate this food.
Dog.
Hey,
Hey,
take care of her.
Her?
No, I was talking to her and looking at you.
Okay. I do enjoy food shaped in balls.
I know.
Because you were fed, well, you know, for the audience, and Nav's parents, I'm sorry, he said it.
True story. I was fed sheep balls as a child. I didn't know this. It was involuntary. It was, you know, my parents fed it to me. They didn't eat it. They didn't feed it to my sister.
Just
They
just
just
don't
gave me sheep balls.
what?
Maybe it did work. 'Cause, like testosterone, like make you big. Testosterone make you big, right? My
So
parents,
how do
my parents are small, same as my sister.
do your parents have an accent? Or?
Nav.
Yes.
So do you think like there was a conversation? Because they didn't have the balls. They fed you.
Well, my dad had the balls,
Are you sure?
right?
No.
Well, I mean,
Sorry, Nav's dad.
Yeah, but the food that they fed you.
oh,
There was the conversation like we should, you know, barbecue sheep balls.
no, the conversation was in Farsi because they didn't speak English.
That's true. Then why would they speak
Why would
English
they
to each
speak
other with a
English?
big accent? Try hard
In
to
Iran.
communicate.
Why would they go
Dumb.
Yeah,
Maybe they're trying to
spoke Farsi.
practice for when they move here. Oh, you were born in Iran.
What the hell? Yeah.
I thought you were born here. I swear to God.
And I came here when I was 13.
No, you came here the
Wow.
same year as me.
Oh, actually, yeah, you
Or what
told me
year?
that. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh off the boat.
I'm gonna.
I wanted to quickly tell you
Yes.
where we got this from because
Yes,
I
please.
spoke
Yes.
to their manager. She was a lovely lady. I don't think she's Scottish. And I wanted to give a shout out to her bar. It's called the Caledonian. It's on Ossington and College. It's a Scottish bar with an incredibly comfortable vibe, friendly staff, and possibly the most glorious Scotch whiskey collection I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
It's probably in, actually, I should say in Toronto because I've seen some shit.
And you are a Scotch drinker.
I am a Scotch drinker. Vanessa, how would you rate the food out of 10?
For a breakfast, now that I know it's a breakfast food and what's in it, probably a 7.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad,
Okay.
actually. You're very
It's not
generous.
bad.
You're very generous.
If it was a meal, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Breakfast 7.
Very convenient.
Like you could pick it up and take it.
That's what he did.
You can eat them hot or cold. So I thought it was only cold, but yeah, apparently you can eat them hot or cold.
Nice.
I also give it a 7.
All right.
But I cheated.
Did you
Stop copying from your classmates.
Why would you give it a
Yeah, why was
Oh, I have to explain?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Don't say
Nah,
the
you see?
This is your show.
Basically what she said. I messed up my job, bro.
So now you know not to.
You should be careful what you put in your mouth.
Oh.
Hey!
Hey! I'll give it a 5.
Out of 5?
Out of 10, you said, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I feel like I could give it a 7 if I truly knew it would be good hot, but because it was cold and it was breakfast, I'll give it a 7. No, 5, sorry. 5.
Oh, no, you can no take backs.
No,
Give it a
All right, 7.
Give it.
Fuck. No, we all give it a 7.
No,
You see, I thought that the really okay, 7.
The mustard was
The mustard was 10.
Did the mustard come from the restaurant?
It did.
Oh, yeah.
The mustard is super good.
Do they make it
That'd be
themselves?
good on some kind of meat. I'll go try that out because you know what? My friend has an English bar and the food is really good.
Oh, English. I don't know.
Well,
They came to my country for better spots, and they still managed to not have the best food
like
in the
there's
world.
some like English pubs have some good authentic English dishes.
Fish and chips.
This is a whole other
chips and
podcast.
fish,
I could hate on England
codfish,
all day long. I'm Indian. I'm sorry. You can't take that.
halibut fish.
It's my birthright.
There it is.
I love it. Shout out to balls, all
right.
kinds of these
Automatic.
breakfast balls.
I think we're done.
Shout out to my parents for feeding me.
Shout out to
testicles.
Vanessa. Thank you so much for your time
Thanks.
and for
Thanks,
sharing so
Vanessa.
vulnerably with us,
You're awesome.
making me cry for 2 hours.
Shout out to
Oh my
Vanessa. Shout out to everyone who worked on this show.
Hey.
Shout out to Racist Rom.
I think we're done here.
Shout out
You can
to Porn Star Mehrad. Metrosexual Max. Shout out. And the guy whose name I'm not supposed to say.
Dan from Aussie.
Dan from OC. Shout out.
Thanks, guys.
Shout out to
You're a bad, bad sign to whoever